Hello, everyone. This is Self Expression with Aja. I'm just going to start with why I changed my name. My name is Cassandra Louise Aldridge, and according to what I've studied, I more so changed my name because of what the meaning of my name was, and I actually felt trapped in that name, and I was tired of what the name was bringing me. Um, Cassandra is a Greek name, and from the study I did, uh, Cassandra, which I prefer Cassandra, not Cassandra. Uh, well, simply put, from the way I was living it, it meant helper of man or shining up on mankind or helping at mankind. And everything about my personality was one of humility, servitude, altruism. And Louise is renowned warrior, fighter, and then Aldridge, from what I found, has to do with farming and land and that. However, my lifestyle was one of I was always on the go, always moving, always traveling. Um, just it appeared that since I can remember, I was always on the move. Like I never was in one spot. I never was in one residence. The longest I was in one residence was 4 years. And I may go into that later as I continue to express. I also have worked up to 3 jobs at one time where I had my own organizational consulting business as well as, working a part-time job here, a full-time job here. And then I found myself in a situation where I chose to help a family member. And I also was very active in my church on top of all that I said. So I was always on the go. I also suffered from, I worked so much that I ended up in the hospital 2 times for exhaustion. Um, and it was that was just me. I didn't know any other way, and just going. And so after it all was said and done, after my what I now call head elevation, my life changed like night and day. It was just a totally opposite. I had a so basically, and I really don't. I want to be careful about what I say because I think the reason why I'm going ahead and getting this part out of the way is because I want to just move forward because I have come back from the stuff that I'm about to describe. So basically, I was taking someone to do some testing. I thought at the time it was icy out, that I slipped and fell on some ice. And so it's debatable as to whether I felt kind of odd about slipping because I'm a former athlete, so I usually am good on my feet and keeping balance. But when you're exhausted and when you're tired, it doesn't matter. And prior to that, see, I had the head injury in March, but in December, I had ended up in the end of December. I had ended up in the hospital in the emergency room because they felt that I was near stroke, but I wasn't feeling like I was near stroke. I just felt like I needed to rest, and that was December. And then I lost my brother uh, like 3 days after I had gotten out of the hospital. So it was a very, very down time for me, and I was very depressed. Let me just go ahead and say it. I was beyond depressed. I almost felt like I couldn't move. And so my brother passed in December, and then 2011, I had, in March of 2011, I either slipped or fell asleep. Regardless of what happened, I hit my head on the concrete. I felt slip backwards and fell. And what I recall is my elbow was very bruised. So I know I hit that. But what was most concerning was, where I hit my head. So I was knocked. I was in and out of consciousness. I was disoriented. I didn't know where I was going. The person that I was transporting, I asked them what we were doing, and that person ended up making a few phone calls. And what I'm told is that what I recall is some Caucasian lady in my face asking me, was I okay? And then I don't remember much after that. And I kept going in and out. And what I was told was that I was, because when I, and this, I'm just only expressing what I remember, what I recall, because I don't recall everything, and it's in bits and pieces. I recall being in the ambulance. I do recall that. And then I recall being, um, I remember a building, wasn't sure where I was. And then I remember when because I remember it, I fell probably, it was probably like after 6:30. And that's because I'm so anal and so disciplined with how I do things. So I'm sure, and I was actually a little ahead of time. So it may have been like 6:29 or 6:28. And so, and I saw that it was icy, but there's usually some sand, bucket and sand under so we can spread before we go out, but it was none there that day. So I took my chances and I was really trying to decide, do I want to go this way or do I want to go that way? And I thought, well, I could handle it. Let me go. But I didn't know it was that slick. It was just like a light sheet of ice. And anyway, I do recall. Um, so anyway, when I came to and when I looked at the clock, it was like 9:30. That's why I bring up the time. So, I was out. And when I came to, I was in restraints. And my head, I don't even know how to put into words how it felt, but they had me in a brace in this block, and my hands were restrained, and where I hit my head was where the pressure was. It was like my head was also tied down because they didn't want me to move. But it was putting pressure right where I hit it, and I just couldn't take it. And so I asked I asked the nurse or I asked them to take them off, and they said no. And I would find out later that I don't know if this happened. I don't recall this, but I was told that I was fighting and swinging at the paramedics. I don't recall that. Doesn't sound like me at all. However, I was in restraint, so I mean everything. I thought it was more precautions, not so much because the person who told me that I was swinging was not the paramedics because by this time they were gone and I was in there just talking to the neurologists and the doctors. And while I was when I came to, they had a code blue, which I know what that means. And so everybody left me. And so when they left me, I asked the person who was with me to take off the restraints. I says, I know what they told you. Please take off the restraints because I couldn't get my hand because I had asked for them to loosen the thing on my head and they said no. And so I just asked the other person to loosen the thing on my hand so I could get it out, and I got the hand out, and then I took the strap off, and it gave me some relief. And of course I got, reprimanded for, doing what I thought was best. And then so when they came back, and and the nurse was very upset too, and he was, giving me his little spiel, and I did not give whatever. My head was so hurting so bad. So they ended up taking me to do an MRI, and I'm probably going to do a two-part to this video because I don't want to make it too long and for it to take up so much time. And so then they decided to take me to do an MRI. And so I'm going to probably stop this video and continue the next one as to not go over, just to be on the safe side, because this is my first time doing this and uploading videos. This is all new to me, and like I said, this is about me. This is about self-expression. This is about me doing videos how I want to do it, and me just getting some things off my chest because I dealt with a lot from that period. And just think about it, it's 2019 and the injury happened in 2011. So be back.